Welcome to the Detroit Metro Plug podcast, where connections matter. I'm Charles, your host, here to bring you podcast interviews of local Detroit difference makers in the area of entrepreneurship and community involvement. And I'm excited today. We have a very special guest on the podcast. So thank you for viewing this episode. Let me introduce our guest sitting here right next to me. She is a naturopathic doctor. She is also a herbalist. She's in private practice of the House of Healthy Living, located here on the west side of Detroit. She is keen on integrating natural methods for whole person healthcare and applying various non-invasive, drug-free methods to conventional medical approaches. She leads the city in the most innovative model for urban community healing. She provides leadership in developing culturally appropriate strategies to address health equity, health disparity, health literacy, and non-compliance among underserved and underinsured populations. Her work focuses on improving health outcomes, reducing and preventing dependencies, and educating and empowering people to make informed health choices. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Dr. Karla Mitchell.
Thank you. Good job.
Yes, you're welcome.
I love your intro.
Yes. Well deserved.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, and you didn't pay me to do that.
I did not pay you to do that. But I mean, your intro about your show, I love the fact that you're highlighting entrepreneurs and community involvement of difference makers. I love how you phrase that.
Yes. I want to highlight difference makers in the Detroit area, Metro Detroit area.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about yourself that you feel comfortable sharing with our viewers, a little bit of your background, where you're from.
Absolutely. So I am a native Detroiter. I'm born and raised in the city of Detroit. I love my city. And I went to Detroit Public Schools and actually graduated and entered into a career. I have 2 business degrees. I graduated and went into automotive like everybody else in the city.
Okay.
And I'm a wife. My husband and I celebrate 29 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We have 5 beautiful children, 4 girls and a boy.
Okay.
And I spend the majority of my time helping people navigate their healthcare journeys. I got into natural and holistic wellness because of my own health journey.
Okay.
So years ago, I was diagnosed with cervical cancer.
Wow.
And literally, I'm just going to say I opted out of convention. I did not want to do what they asked me to do. I wasn't sure I was done having children.
Okay.
And I just didn't want to do it. I didn't want to do whatever they were asking me to do.
Okay.
And I went on my own personal health journey, and I came up with what I refer to now as a regimen that I followed religiously. And I just remember sitting in my doctor's office and asking him, how much time do I have before I have to do anything that you've asked me to do?
Okay.
And he went on to explain. He's like, well, you know how the women's anatomy is set up. We don't want to give you more than 60 days because if it passed your cervix, then it goes into the uterus, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing none of that. And as a praying woman and a woman of faith, I was like, I got other stuff. I'm going to do something different. And I literally did that. I traveled. I looked at, so at the time I was working in automotive. I've shared this story many times. I was working in automotive and I was responsible for plants in Mexico, China, and Germany. And it was
You're talking about assembly plants?
Yeah, to assembly plants.
Okay.
And we, not car make, but I was working for a
supplier. Okay.
And at the time, it was not common to see a black woman in a low-cost country.
Right.
And it also, so I was killing 2 birds with one stone. I was black, and I was a woman, and I was high up, right?
Right.
And so that came with some privileges that I took advantage of. And in those trips, I was looking at how other countries would deal with diseased tissue.
Okay.
And I came home with all kinds of roots and teas and barks.
Right.
And I put together a regimen for myself that involved a number of things. Drinking, strong infusions, which were like tonics. Okay. Using alternating hydrotherapy infused with herbs. A lot of little things that I learned how to put together by buying books. I literally said, I'm going to do this myself. This regimen that I put together for myself, I followed it for about 40 days.
Okay.
And when I went back to the doctor, they couldn't find any abnormal cells on my cervix.
Wow.
And that experience prompted me to go back to school to learn how to help people, because I was surrounded by people who had health issues with no solutions.
Right, right.
And that's really how I got into it, and I've been doing it ever since.
Wow, that's an amazing story. So you started out in business. You were
I
working
did.
for an automotive company.
I do.
In management. You were working at plants. And so was at that time you were diagnosed with cervical cancer?
Yeah. I had 4 children at that
Mhm.
time, and I'd gone in for my annual exam like
Right.
we normally do.
Okay.
And the results of that, I got the phone call from the doctor's office, like, you got to come in. He needs to talk to you.
Okay.
And that's kind of how that went.
Now, what prompted you to look for alternative ways to deal with your situation?
I just didn't. So honestly, I had come off of an experience with my father. So I've shared with you before we started filming that my
Right.
dad had addictions,
Right.
and
okay.
prior to my experience, my dad was diagnosed with a frontal lobe cancerous tumor.
Okay.
It's called a multiform glioblastoma, and it's
Mhm.
very rare. I also know that my dad snorted cocaine, right? So there was something related to that
okay.
history. And in that experience, my father had the tumor removed, and he rehabilitated for a little while, and then it came back. And when it came back, he decided he didn't want to go through surgery again.
Okay.
He didn't want to be in hospice.
Right.
He didn't want morphine. He didn't want to put anything else in his body. He
Right.
was like, just take me home and we're going to ride this out. And
wow.
in that process, I started studying drug-free pain management techniques.
Okay.
Because I was thinking to myself, like, dang, if my dad goes home, his body is going to shut down. He's going to be in pain. I don't want him to suffer.
Right.
And so I started looking at drug-free pain management techniques and learned about vibrational therapies like Reiki and healing touch therapy, and became trained in those therapies
Okay.
and used them on my dad, and just had some very unfamiliar but extraordinary experiences.
Okay.
And some unfamiliar, and that'll be another show. I'll tell you that. But and it was just a very humbling, and it was a different experience with my father, to the extent that it changed the way I looked at death and dying.
Okay.
When my father ultimately passed, it prompted me to go and volunteer in hospice.
Okay.
And it just took me down a path that was very, different, I should say. And having gotten that diagnosis on the tail end of that,
Right.
I used a lot of what I had learned in the experience to say,
Okay.
yeah, you got to do something. There's something else out there.
Okay.
So that's kind of how that went.
That's how that went. So it was a situation with your dad.
Yeah.
And that started your journey to research other alternatives.
Like, just really look
ways.
at something different. Like,
Okay.
there's something else out there. I didn't know what it was at the time, but I
Okay.
knew it was something else.
Now, how did you, because I'm used to traditional medicine, how does one get involved or become a naturopathic doctor?
So at the time, so I went to school. I went to school called Trinity School of Natural Health.
Okay.
And that's a really good question, because the dynamic for naturopaths has really changed in the last 15 years.
Okay.
So when I went to school 15 years ago, I went to Trinity School of Natural Health. They don't even offer a doctorate in naturopathy anymore.
Okay.
And that's partly because the American Medical Association has lobbied to restrict the scope of service for a clinical traditional naturopath.
Okay.
And not only has that happened, so you can the answer is you can go to school, but the landscape for learning is very different now than
Okay.
it was 15 years ago.
All right.
And so since I graduated from school, they've closed down a lot of the clinical.
Now, where was the school located?
In Indiana.
Did you have to go physically? Was it correspondence?
Both.
Okay.
So both. And then at the end of the program, they gave you the option of doing like a clinical rotation or
Residency.
dissertation.
Dissertation.
Yep. So at the time it was both. It was correspondence or you could do both.
Okay.
Like a hybrid, I would say.
Mhm.
But so now to go to school to become a naturopath, it's more like a medical track.
Okay.
It's more medical than it is naturopathic. And I say this because naturopaths are trained in a lot of different ways to naturally assess the body. And they are trained in a lot of different ways to put together health improvement programs using natural means.
Okay.
Now what that looks like is a medical curriculum with a semester of nutrition,
Okay.
or a medical curriculum with a semester of herbalism.
All right.
And then the branch of conventional medicine that is most like or similar to naturopathic medicine is functional medicine, is what they're calling it now.
Okay.
In fact, I wrote an article that I have not published yet to really talk about and clear that up for people, because there is some confusion about how to become a naturopath.
Yes, yes.
When in reality, today's naturopaths are really medical doctors
Okay.
with a semester of something, not true naturopaths who have been trained in nature cure.
Nature cure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, nature cure versus
Conventional
medicine.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so I thank you for asking that question, because I think a lot of people get confused about
Yes,
it.
yes. Now, how is it different? I know you touched on a few things. How is it different from traditional medicine?
So, in my personal opinion, and how I explain it is, nature cure seeks to find the root cause of a thing, whereas healthcare, as we currently know it today, manages symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And to be perfectly honest, I always tell people, our first, if we had an oath, our first oath would be to do no harm.
Right.
And so we know that a lot of the prescription medications that people are taking, a lot of surgeries and things like that, do harm. They have side effects.
Have side effects.
Nature cure rarely does.
Have side effects. Okay.
Rarely, or if ever, does nature cure have a side effect.
Okay.
And so a true naturopath is someone that takes advantage of nature cure to resolve commonly diagnosed health conditions.
Okay. Wow.
So I don't write prescriptions in my practice. I don't recommend surgeries. I don't do invasive diagnostic techniques. I'm not putting you in the MRI machine and subjecting you to radiation, you know?
Right, right.
So there's a fine line and a distinction between what a naturopath does and what a conventional
Okay. Now, as a naturopath, is there a way where you guys get certified, licensed, like a doctor, or is there something different?
So some states do recognize and license naturopaths, and there are other states that do not. In my professional association, we really don't want to become licensed and registered, because with licensing comes regulation.
Oh, okay.
And with regulation comes restriction and control.
Right.
So if you think about the evolution of convention and big pharma.
Right, right.
And there was nothing more confirming for me than an experience I had when I first started. And it was really how I learned about clinical practice guidelines and how insurance claims get paid.
Right.
So if you are a practitioner who is billing an insurance company for a service that you delivered, and say, for example, you don't write somebody a prescription from metformin, your claim might not get paid.
Right.
Or if you don't admit somebody to a hospital, never mind that you have an outcome that helps. Mm-hmm. But if you don't admit them to a hospital and follow these steps that they tell you to follow,
right,
you don't get reimbursed.
Okay.
So there are restrictions in place for certain types of practitioners that are currently not in place for a naturopath.
Okay.
And so I think that in order to individualize care, you don't want to be restricted in what you can do. If two people come in my office with high blood pressure, they might leave with two different programs.
Okay.
But when you're restricted, everybody has to get a high blood pressure medication.
Right, right.
You follow what I'm saying?
So it's best not to have those type of regulations and restrictions.
As a clinical traditional naturopath, I prefer the freedom
right,
of not having licenses and registration, because then I don't have the restrictions that other
right,
practitioners have.
Okay. Now, for in your industry, or you can share personally, who are the type of clients or patients you normally serve?
So that's a great question too. You ask such good questions. You're so good at this. When I opened my practice, I thought that the people that I would see would be people who had some knowledge of their body.
Okay.
Or who had some knowledge about natural health and nature cure. But by and large, the people that come in this office are people who are in crisis.
Right.
As you can tell from the call that I took
just
before when you were setting up.
Yeah.
The majority of my clients are people who are in crisis and people that those people have referred.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
I have had good outcomes, and people refer each other. So I'm grateful and so blessed that I haven't had to do like a lot of promotion. 15 years is a long time to be in business without like a commercial.
Okay.
You know?
So you've been doing this for 15 years?
I've been doing this for 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your typical patient or client or somebody in crisis.
Typically.
No.
A recent diagnosis. My doctor
Right.
wants me to have a surgery. I just got this prescription. I don't want to take it. Like those kinds of people
Okay.
in crisis.
Now tell me this. Let's say some of your patients, they may have like a primary care physician or whatever, and they share that they're working with you. Has there been any pushback or that's encouraged, or what's your
So
been your
far, so
experience?
good. It's been encouraged.
Okay.
It has been encouraged, and I'm glad you asked, because I don't ever want people to think it's either or, because sometimes I need the information that a primary care doctor can provide.
Right. Okay.
You know, if you come to me and you have fibroids, for example, I want to know how big they were when we started, and then what size they are when we're done. I can't order an ultrasound, but your primary care doctor can.
Right.
Or
Right.
your OBGYN doctor can. So we're partners in care. And a wise healthcare consumer should have a healthcare team,
Okay. A team.
not one person. Like I want to be it, but that's not realistic. You should have a primary care provider, a naturopath, and whatever else you need on your team.
Okay. Okay. Now I know that things have been changed where people are kind of getting more just overall health conscious and looking for alternative ways to deal with their health, terminal illness or whatever. Has that impacted your business as people become more aware of health? You know, you have like people as far as people who want to be vegetarian or vegans or plant-based, or has
Absolutely. I get a lot of discovery calls. I call them
Okay.
discovery calls.
Right.
And it's really one of the reasons why I actually even offer a consultation.
Okay.
Because the way that I practice natural health care is very new and different for people. And so we have to sit down and talk about it. Because people will come in and say, hey, what can you give me for this thing?
Right.
And I'm like, nothing. I don't have anything for you. Or
Right.
that.
Okay. So it sounds like everything is individualized based
It
upon
is.
their history and what's going on, and not just
Yes.
wow.
Yes.
So I want to get into the House of Healthy Living. How did that journey? How did this get started? This business?
So actually, House of Healthy Living is actually a rebrand.
Okay.
So I was in practice as Exhalation Integrative Wellness for well over for 12 years, I'd say.
12 years. Okay.
Because I've been sitting still for 2 due to the pandemic. But so House of Healthy Living is actually a rebrand, and as you know from when we met,
Right.
I was looking to reformat my business. I have largely operated as a service-based business, just seeing clients on a regular basis.
Okay.
But I knew that my client base needed something more. And I wanted to create a brand of daily herbal products
Okay.
that could introduce people to plant medicine.
Okay.
And I knew that in order to do that, I would need like a retail setting so people can just come in and say, oh, let me try this. And then realize the benefits, and then kind of like transition into a different lifestyle.
Okay.
So House of Healthy Living came out of that desire, a desire to create a retail model where I could introduce people into herbalism or plant medicine and still see clients.
Okay.
And that's what this is.
Okay.
So here is House of Healthy Living, and all of my resident branded products are placed on the shelf. And then just through this door is my assessment space where I see clients on a regular basis.
Now going to some of from the retail side of your business, what are some of the offerings that you offer
So
customers or
I'm
patients?
so excited about this because I am such a nerd. I'm such a nerd, and I know I probably I'm working with somebody that kind of helped me underthink my approach. But I have I have 3 separate and distinct product lines.
Okay.
The first line is Balance.
Balance.
Balance comes as a tea or a tincture, which is in a dropper bottle.
A drop in your underneath your tongue.
Yeah,
or?
they can, or on your tongue. It
On your
doesn't
tongue.
have to be under your tongue. Yeah.
Okay.
But the Balance product line is really designed for people who don't have enough energy to make it through their day.
Like an energy booster?
I don't like to put names because what I think what my goal is with my work, Charles, is to get people to think differently about their body.
Okay.
If I say it's for energy and an energy booster, then people will be coming in here but that's not what it does.
Right.
It gets in your body.
It's not a Red Bull
It's not a Red Bull or it's not a Monster energy drink. It is plant medicine that gets in your body and works with your body's innate ability to balance itself out. So most of us
Well, that's why it's called balance.
That's why it's called balance.
Okay.
You know, and just to kind of give you a greater example of balance, it's like most of us get up early and we go to bed late.
Yes.
We don't eat on time.
Right.
We're operating off of like fumes or adrenal energy.
Exactly, yes.
And that it really burns out our central
Right.
nervous system.
Yeah.
So balance, plant medicine goes in and really nourishes your central nervous system in a way that kind of calms you down. Make sure you get deep, you can get deep actual rest, because sleep is different than rest. You can get sleep.
No, wait a minute. You said something. That's important.
Yeah.
What's the difference between rest and sleep?
Well, do you go to bed at 8 o'clock at night and sleep till 8 o'clock in the morning and still feel tired?
It depends.
Some people do. Some people get a full night's sleep and then still need a nap by 1.
Okay.
Or they get a full night's sleep and they still wake up tired.
Yeah.
There is a difference between sleep and rest. So
Wow.
balance helps you get some rest.
I mean, well.
And as a result,
So you got to break that down especially for our viewers. So how do you know if you're rested? You're well rested. What is it?
So clearly in my practice, there are ways for me to assess that. Mm-hmm. But like a person who would benefit from boost is somebody who might say, "Oh my God, I was asleep all night, but I woke up, I'm still tired."
Yeah, I feel like that sometimes.
Or is a person who might say, "Dang, it's only 12 o'clock. I need a nap already."
Right.
Or foggy brain. Mm-hmm. Or anxious all the time.
Right.
Tremors.
Right.
Can't concentrate because you're tired. You've been to a point where you've worked yourself past exhaustion and you just have to keep going.
Right.
That's like our MO in the urban communities. Like we are out here hustling. Detroit hustles harder. Right. And so we're out here hustling and not taking care of our bodies. Balance speaks to that.
Okay.
It helps kind of reset your body, and not in a way that takes you out. It just helps you get deeper.
So there's no like changes in my sleep patterns or things I need to do
you go to sleep the same.
to help with the balance supplement?
No, you just take it daily, maybe twice a day, and you watch the beauty, the magic happen over a couple of weeks. Okay. And I always tell people it's like you drink water every day. Water has its benefits. It doesn't have, but when you're drinking water, certain things happen in your body.
Right.
Where if you eat a salad for a week, certain things happen in your body. Same thing with my herbal supplements. They're just daily herbals in the same way that you might, drink a cup of tea every morning. You take balance and you start to notice the change in your body over time. Right?
Okay.
Then the second product line is called Nourish.
Nourish, okay.
Nourish is exactly what it says. There are plants that are rich in minerals. Mm-hmm. Now we talk a lot about vitamins, right?
Yes.
Take your daily vitamins.
Right.
But people don't talk enough about mineralization.
Okay.
And guess what happens when you don't mineralize?
Okay.
Your body takes it from where minerals are stored. So your nails, your hair, your teeth, your skin, your bones, because your body needs minerals to function.
Now what's the difference between minerals and vitamins?
So there's a distinct difference, and it's mostly chemistry.
Okay.
It's mostly chemistry and source.
Okay.
Chemistry and source are what the difference is between vitamins and minerals. And the other thing about a lot of vitamins are isolated from their source. So either you're eating a 20-pound bag of organic carrots, or you're taking a one a day that has beta carotene in it. You follow what I'm saying?
Right.
So in a lot of ways, vitamins are isolates of like good sources of nutrition.
Okay. Now you're not knocking it. Is that a good thing?
I'm not knocking it.
Okay.
I mean, that's a third show. When you talk about the quality and the nutrient density of certain vitamins, right? But in Nourish, there are mineral-rich herbs that help to nourish your body.
Right.
And Nourish is one of my favorite blends. I had an older gentleman tell me, and Nourish comes in a tincture or a tea as well. He's like, I need that tea. It's helping my gray hair turn back a color. It's so interesting, yeah.
Right.
Because you're mineralizing your body, right? Gray hair comes from a lack of minerals. As we age, we consume less, we absorb less, so there's a lot that goes on in our body.
So I can potentially stop the graying?
Yeah, well, potentially. I don't like to make false claims, but that's the feedback that I'm given. So Nourish is like, if you take a daily vitamin, Nourish is like a daily mineral.
All right, okay. So we got Balance, we got Nourish. What's the third one?
The last one is Thrive.
Thrive.
So Thrive is like my wild card. Thrive does exactly that. It's like a touch point for helping the body thrive with specific conditions. So say, for example, you are an athlete and you are concerned about sports recovery.
Right.
But you don't want to go and take the stuff that's on a over-the-counter shelf because it has other stuff in it, right?
Right.
Well, I have a sports recovery specific blend in the Thrive product family that helps your muscles recover fast just because it's plant nutrition, you know?
Wow.
Or I have something for sleep. There's
Okay.
there's a specific combination of
That's
herbs.
under Thrive?
It's under the Thrive product family.
Okay.
I have something that's an anti-inflammatory blend.
Wow.
Two of my most popular blends during the pandemic was my antiviral blend
Right.
and my immune blend.
Okay.
Taken together has come up with some very good results for people who have concerns about viruses during the pandemic.
Okay, that is wonderful.
Yeah.
So these are your signature products, and there's a family of them, sounds like, of
Yeah.
these, the Balance, the Nourish, and the Thrive.
Correct.
Now, is this, and I must ask this, I'm just trying to have a better understanding.
Yeah.
Is this something you come up with,
Yes.
or, oh, you create
They
these
are
products?
my
Oh, it's not
proprietary
you
blends.
order out to
No.
through Amazon?
No,
So-
absolutely not.
So these are your own,
These are my own formulas.
wow,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
amazing.
My
That was
own
amazing.
formulas, yeah.
Now, what's the best way, for our viewers to get this? Can they get it online? Come to the store?
They can come to the store. They can get it online. Although I think I'm not. You guys have to tell me if you try to get it online and it's not working. I believe our website is up and running just
Okay.
fine. But if it's not, definitely DM me because I'm on Instagram. But yep, our store is open Tuesday to Friday from 11 to 7,
Okay, 11 to 7.
and then Saturdays from 11 to 3.
Okay.
And you can just walk in and buy something off the
Share
shelf.
with our viewers where your store is located.
Okay, we're located at Grand River and Lasher, so our address is Lasser. Our address is 22000 Grand River, right at the corner of Lasser and Grand River. We're in the new Obama building,
Okay.
and our suite number is 300. So our door,
Suite 300.
our entrance faces Grand River. A lot of people get confused because I think there are apartments upstairs,
Okay.
and there's an address on the other side. So if you
Right.
come visit us at the store, which I hope you do,
Right.
our entrance faces Grand River.
Okay. And the Obama Center, what is special about this
The Obama
location?
building. So this area of Old Radford is making a comeback, as you may well
Right.
know. And this building, before it was redeveloped, was really an eyesore in the neighborhood.
Right.
And one of the very well-known artists in the city of Detroit, his name is Chaz
Chaz.
Miller,
Miller.
had painted a picture of Michelle and Barack Obama
Yes, I remember.
dancing on the front of the
Yes,
building.
I remember that picture.
So when the developers came into the community to ask the residents, like, what do you guys want this building to be called? People were concerned about what was going to happen to the painting.
Painting, yeah.
Well, I am happy and excited to share that the painting ended up on the inside of the building and the gallery.
Okay.
And the community residents voted that the building be named the Obama Building. Because
Right.
quite frankly, had become endeared as a
Right,
landmark.
as a landmark.
And the reason why people knew it was called the Obama Building because
that picture.
they say go to the Obama picture and make a right, or go
Right,
to the
right.
Obama picture and make a left. So I think that's kind of how that,
Mhm.
it's just a term of endearment that the neighborhood kind of
Okay.
stamped on the building.
Okay.
And the developers went with it.
That's great. It seems
Yeah.
like a great location. And how long have you been here?
So we opened October 1st.
Okay.
And to be perfectly honest, we had plans of opening like in September of 2019. Or
Right.
September. So the pandemic kind of
Right. Yeah.
had us pushed back. But
Pushback. Okay.
off timing is divine timing, and so we're just
Right.
glad to be here.
Well, that's great. That's great. Now you shared a little bit about your retail products with the Balance, Nourish, and Thrive. Now you do. What are the other services you provide for those who may need
So
some-
I interface with patients just like a medical doctor, except everything I do is natural in nature. So a person can schedule an appointment with me to be seen and to talk about whatever their major health concerns are, and I share with them some options and how to walk the natural path.
Okay.
And if a person wanted to schedule an appointment, they can visit the website, www.houseofhealthyliving.com, and there's a link that says become a client,
Okay.
and you can just register there. And House is HAUS,
Okay.
and it's actually an acronym for Healing Achieved Using the Simplicity of Healthy Living.
Say that again. I like that.
House is an acronym for Healing Achieved Using the Simplicity of Healthy Living.
Okay. That's wonderful. All right. So you provide services, full services as a doctor, but in the area of a naturopath.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, I wanted to ask you, as you are aware in your experience, some of the health challenges, particularly among the African American community with high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, cancer. How do you think your services can help deal with those health challenges?
You know, it's so interesting that you asked. I often tell people, first I want to say that for every diagnosed condition, there is a natural path that you can walk.
Okay.
There are situations where the conversation becomes a quality of life decision.
Right.
If you wait too long, the body is a beautiful machine. If you support it, it will support you.
Right.
With regard to hypertension and high blood pressure and diabetes, I tell people all the time, those two conditions can be, barring the genetic form of diabetes, right? But those two conditions can be 100% reversed with diet alone.
Wow. Now wait a minute. You talking about
Hypertension and diabetes.
diet alone can
Alone.
reverse?
Yeah.
Elaborate on that.
If you change the way that you eat and what you put in your body, you can improve your A1C numbers and your blood pressure just by changing your eating habits. Add to that exercise, boom, knocks it out the park. But when you add natural methods, plant medicine, and things that don't have side effects, you have an even greater chance of managing and or reversing those conditions naturally. I have seen a lot of conditions in my practice from all spectrums. I had a young woman come in here who they were asking to get a hysterectomy. Turns out she did not have cancer. Turns out she did not need a hysterectomy.
Wow.
I've had a gentleman come in diagnosed with leukemia. Turns out he didn't have leukemia. Turns out his diabetes was resolved as a side effect, right?
Okay.
So I think there is not a condition that I have been presented with that I have turned away from.
Okay.
Because the way that I teach people to think about their bodies is really a mind shift from what's wrong with me to which one of my body systems needs my attention.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
And so the way that a doctor means teacher.
Right.
People don't know that doctor actually means teacher.
Teacher.
And my job, a large part of my job is teaching people what our body is telling us and helping them unlearn what we have been taught about our bodies.
Okay.
I'm not a magician. I'm not a magician.
Right.
But a lot of the chronically diagnosed conditions that we see in our community can easily be addressed and resolved walking the natural path.
Walking the natural path. That's awesome. That's awesome. So I'm pretty sure people are going to want to know. We talked about what the products you provide, where you're located, the services. And people are kind of used to if they have like insurance or Medicaid or something like that. How do they pay for your services? What is the?
We are a 100% cash-based practice.
So fee for service. Okay.
Fee for service for sure. Insurance does not pay for cure.
Okay.
But a lot of insurance plans are now shifting towards like health savings accounts.
Okay.
And flexible spending accounts.
Okay.
And we do accept health savings accounts and flexible spending accounts. So that's important for people to know because, we're in that time of year where you can set aside dollars.
Right.
And you can use those dollars to pay for this kind of care.
Okay. Now, do you provide like a monthly membership or how does that do?
I have done it in the past. We offer sliding scale services. I always tell people I run like a Robin Hood operation.
Okay.
Because I do give services away in certain situations where people can, it's based on ability to pay. And we also have a sliding scale based on ability to pay. And we also offer payment plans. So we've kind of gotten away from memberships because obviously there has to be a certain number of memberships for that to work. And I think that will come back in the future.
Okay.
But for now, we offer sliding scales, we offer some free services, and absolutely offer payment plans.
Okay. So I have an interest in which one that helps you with the energy? Is that the balance?
Balance.
Okay. So what typically, is that like a monthly?
The dosing?
Dosing or prescription, or how does that work?
I don't write prescriptions.
Okay, no prescriptions. I'm so used to traditional medicine.
I know. I got to teach us how to talk about.
Okay, so what did you call it? Instead of prescription, it's called dosage?
So it's just a herbal support.
Or herbal support.
And herbal support. So they're offered in 2-ounce bottles, which work out to be like a 30-day supply.
30-day supply.
It's about a 30-day supply. So you're looking at probably $1 a day.
Okay. So $30 or?
Yeah, $30
Oh, that's not bad. That's reasonable.
Yeah, you're looking at about $1 a day, and you just take them daily, like you would.
Do you take it with food or?
I think it's a matter of preference. So I've been taking herbs for and I got a disclaimer. I do not formulate for palate or taste. I formulate for effectiveness. So if you are a person who is new to herbal medicine, I would suggest you get you a little bit of juice or water.
Oh, okay.
Because it might not, you know, my daughter.
It's not gonna taste like grape juice and
no, it's
stuff
not gonna
like
taste.
that.
It's not gonna taste like bubble gum.
Bubble gum.
Like I don't put Band-Aids on it.
For the children's medicine or something.
Right. My daughter has
No
an
flavor?
expression. She goes, "It's not
You
nice."
sure you don't have like any lemon pepper?
I mean, you know what?
a little lemon pepper.
What's
flavor?
funny is for kids, I absolutely do. You know, you can make a herbal simple syrup. So
Okay.
you know, I can flavor it like lavender, or I can make it taste like ginger or lemon. But for adults, just take it.
Just take it.
Y'all put so much other stuff in your body. This is child's play.
It's a little bit of juice and a little bit of lemon pepper and take the thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's such a small dose. I mean, I think it works out to like maybe a teaspoon and a half.
Okay, all right.
So.
That is wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So we talked about your journey
Uh-huh.
and talked about your store and your services. Do you mind before? There was a few other things I was going to ask you
Okay.
before we close out.
Yeah, sure.
What do you enjoy most about
My
what
work?
you do? Yeah.
Oh, I think the thing that I enjoy the most is the discovery and the knowledge sharing.
Okay.
It just seems to me that for most people, I don't know another word to use, Charles, you have to help me, but it seems like when people realize that they can help themselves, it's like an epiphany.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's like, wow, I can do this. I don't need to go to my doctor.
Right.
Oh, I don't have to take it. You know, so it's that's the discovery, because I think if there's nothing else that I enjoy more, it's like taking ownership back.
Okay.
We put so much of our care and concern in other people's hands. That's why people are running around here scared to death during the pandemic.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that I enjoy the most about my work is the discovery and the knowledge share and the place that people come to when they realize, this is all I had to do.
Right.
You know? That brings me joy.
Okay, that's wonderful. So somebody who's going to go down this natural path,
Mm-hmm.
what would your advice be? What would be the first steps that they would take?
Honestly, so the first step, if you have questions, will obviously be to schedule an appointment so that we can talk it out.
Okay.
But recently, I've started to discuss these pre-care pillars that I think you're not ready for me. If you're a person that's not drinking water, you're not ready for me.
Okay.
If you are a person that cannot eat at least one salad a day, you're not ready for me.
Okay.
Because it's not my job to help you be well. You have to make a commitment to yourself. And if you're not even hydrating, you don't want me to help you.
Right.
You know? So there's some things that I think people benefit from a consultation.
Okay.
We just have a conversation that creates awareness around what it takes to walk the natural path.
Okay.
We got some bad habits.
Right.
And so I'm only gonna meet you halfway though.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because this is really about taking control of your health.
Okay. Taking control of your health, going the natural way.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about what you're doing, the
Thank
services you provided,
Thank
the
you.
products. Definitely is needed in the community with our challenges with hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease.
Yeah.
That is exciting. Do you have any upcoming events, announcements you'd like to share with us today?
I do not have any upcoming events, although I would love for people to just stop by and say hi.
Okay.
From time to you can stop by on any given day and try a tea. I often have hot tea or cold tea. One of the things I like to do is teach people how to use plants.
Okay.
And so oftentimes I'll have like hot tea here. You can just come here, hang out, ask me some questions if you want.
Okay.
I'm
Now,
pretty much here most of the time.
Yeah, you have a brand that you sell as a tea format?
I do.
Okay,
Yeah.
what is that? Explain more
It's the
about
same. So the two formulas that I share with you, Balance and
Balance?
Nourish,
Oh, it's a tea.
they come as a tea as well.
Oh, it's the
So you-
droplets
you
and
can-
then or tea.
Either or, yeah, you can either take it as a drop. Some people don't want to take the time to make tea. You know, some people just want to be able to drop it and go.
Oh.
And then there are people who like the experience of drinking tea. So you can it comes in two forms. It comes in a tea or a tincture.
But you said now the tea I'm used to like is it a certain flavor or do I mix it with a regular tea or?
No, it's loose leaf tea,
Okay.
and you add lemon or
Add
honey
lemon.
or whatever you want to it, and you realize that it's a daily tea.
A daily tea.
Yeah. So you know, like in my house, I'll make like the Nourish, for example. My kids, I don't buy pop.
Mhm.
Rarely do I buy juice. We don't make Kool-Aid.
Right.
But like in my refrigerator, I will have.
And no
maybe
grape drink. I mean, we know for grape drink. That's
No grape drink.
That's good. You're a good
But
mom.
for the most, like I'll make a pitcher of Nourish tea.
Nourish tea, like
Add-
iced tea.
Yeah,
Nourish
like
tea?
iced tea, and put it in the freezer. They don't ask no questions. They just drink it. Because
That
I
is
make it
wonderful.
taste good, you know.
That's
So it's
good.
really, it's like little things like that. So I offer balance and nourish in both tincture or tea form.
Tincture or tea form.
I'm
That's
just, you know, so
That is awesome.
yeah.
In closing, you mind sharing? We'll have, for those who are viewing this, we'll have all the information in the show notes and our description below of how to get in contact with the House of Healthy Living, how to reach out to Dr. Karla Mitchell. So we'll have her email and our website and social media handles in our description. But if you want to share quickly, what's the best way to get a phone number or website? What's the best way to get in touch with you?
Sure. So I am on Instagram as a dose of Dr. Karla, and Karla is spelled with a K.
With a K, okay.
And then our office phone number is 313-946-9644.
Okay.
And then our website is www.houseofhealthyliving.com, and house is spelled Haus.
Okay, that's awesome. All right. Well, I want to thank you again for this time being on the podcast and sharing with our viewers the natural path to healing.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been probably the best interview I've had. You've asked some really good questions, and I've enjoyed being here. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, that does it for our podcast today. If you find value in this podcast, I encourage you and invite you to subscribe to our channel. We try to bring interviews of local Detroit difference makers in the area of entrepreneurship and community involvement. And I want to encourage you to leave comments. We'd like to hear your feedback and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.